Hi, welcome back to Between You and Me. I'm Star Dahl-Thurston, your host, and today is going to be quite literally between you and me because I have no guest, which is pretty exciting. And I just thought that, you guys never really heard from just me, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am. And it's definitely not because my guest canceled because they were sick. It's because I wanted this. Okay, but I thought I would give you guys a little bit of fun context of who I am, where I'm from, how this even started, a little bit about everybody knows that I'm Miss Hawaii. That's like kind of all people know about me. And, for a while I was kind of like, I'm so much more than Miss Hawaii. And that was such a pinnacle, amazing moment. But a lot of people assume that I am like this pageant-y girl, which I'm not. Oh my gosh. It was like my first pageant I had ever really done. And I never planned in a million years that I would do a pageant. But basically, to tell you the whole story, I have to go way back in time into my youth. Okay. Picture this. You're Star. You're a chubby little girl. Well, I was a chubby big girl. Okay. I was really tall and I went to school with a bunch of like prepubescent Asian people. And we love the Asians. I am Asian. But they are all 75 pounds at 12 years old. And I was 5'8" and 150 pounds, just to give you context a little bit. Okay. So I was kind of like, wow, I don't look like you guys and I don't sound like you. And everybody is some kind of athlete or like killing it at Kumon. And I had no special talent. Now as an adult, I realized that I was really searching for identity. But as a kid, I was just searching for my thing, right? Like, what am I going to do? Like, this girl's really good at soccer. This girl's a paddler. This girl's good at tennis, which I actually was a tennis prodigy in my youth. And I say prodigy because I was really good for my age. And then, as my mom likes to say, I went home and I told her, Mom, I just really don't like sweating anymore. I don't like this. And like a crackhead, she listened to me. I thought like parents are supposed to like tiger mom you and keep you in like sports, whatever. Like that's all good athletes. She goes, okay, you don't have to do that anymore. I'm not going to pay for it. So, I never really got to actualize my tennis career, but I really do enjoy tennis. But anyway, I never had my thing. And it always kind of got to me. I felt like I was just a floater around her. And I would talk about this from time to time. And one day, I think it was more in high school, I was really down on myself because I had just quit track. I was a pole vaulter. I know I've talked about this before. 3rd in the state in middle school. Thank you very much. I have that coin somewhere. But in like contextually, I wasn't very good at it. Anyway, I had to quit track because in high school people are like good at it and they were going to go to college for it and I couldn't keep up. And I was just like, you know what? There's no space for me. And we were in the car and my mom goes, Star, your talent is to talk to people. When you get older, you'll realize that that's not everybody's strength. And that's just everything that you're supposed to be. And I'm thinking, okay, Mom, that is the most whack thing that you have ever said. Like, all of our moms encourage us and they say what you're supposed to say. Like, no, you don't look fat. That boy is being mean to you because he likes you. The girls are being mean to you because they're jealous of you. The things, And I just thought that was another one of the things. But later on, I really learned, and mostly in my Miss Hawaii era, I learned that, it is a God gift of mine to walau, or to talk to people and communicate. And so, my mom dies in 2021. I had just graduated college, and 3 months later, she passed away from stage 4 ovarian cancer, which was a whirlwind. Like I had never had like a real job. I just moved home, and she was gone. Like everything I knew about my life was different. And I started working right away in film and television. That's what I wanted to do. I majored in business and entertainment. And for a long time, I wanted to be an agent for comics. I love stand-up comedy. I love to haha. I love to laugh. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to move to New York. LA if I had to, but I really wanted to be in New York. And obviously that didn't happen. But my mom had always been a makeup artist for film and TV. So, basically everybody in Hawaii that's in that industry knew who she was. And when they found out she had died, one of her, I had worked on like 2 Hallmark films, which was so much fun at the Kahala Hotel and Resort. And I had met a bunch of people, and our producer on that show got to talking to me one day, and was asking me what I wanted to do, and I had been working on set, and I thought, I think I want to produce film. I had kind of bounced around every department, and that's where I felt like I landed best. Now, 2 months later, now mom has passed. She was alive when I had that conversation. And this guy, his name's Kenny Burke. We love you, Kenny. He ended up getting the producer job on Magnum PI season 4. And he gives me a call and goes, Star, I want to do this for your mom and for you and give you a shot. Like, come be my assistant. Now, if you don't really know about film, how that works, like, you don't start as a producer's assistant. Like, this is my second job ever. I was wildly underqualified. I had no idea what I was doing. But I thought, okay, yes, Nepo baby, I'll take it. So which I joke about a lot, like being a Nepo baby, but cheers to the Nepo babies that keep their jobs. You know what I mean? Like, film is one of those things, like, if you're really junk at it, I feel like people are not going to want to work with you again. So I did a good enough job to work doing that for like 2 more years. Anyway, so that is where I really found my love for just film and entertainment. It's like where I was. I did that job. I was on all of season 4. And then I got another job working on Chief of War, which is basically our first ever big budget project about ancient Hawaii. The whole show was meant to be in Olelo, and then it wasn't. We got to the first 2 episodes, I think. But that was where everything started to really change. At this point, I had my head down for a year, just grinding, working, being depressed because my mom had died. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Like, she was so much a part of who I was because she was a single mom. And I just was going through the motions. And then that's when I realized that I was getting fat. I was always like chubby or whatever, but I was depressed in an office and I was getting fat, and I thought, okay, I can't be all of these things. I have to like figure out what to do. So I started going to Orange Theory. Shout out Orange Theory Kaka'ako. And I started exercising, and this is when I feel like the beginning of this whole story, Miss Hawaii podcast, who Star is today, really started to take shape. I promise there's a point, okay? There's not always a point, but I promise. I've thought this through a little bit. I even have notes, see. So I start going to Orange Theory, and it starts really like opening up my heart because I'm going at like 5 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m., and I'm showing up tired. I'm showing up sad. There were some days that I was bawling in the parking lot, but I had set this goal for myself, knowing that I could very easily decide to stay where I was. Like, the kind of grief that I was experiencing was a kind of sadness that you could easily keep so close to you. Or I could decide to put it down and just do anything else with my life, and try to fill the cup with good things, because the grief, it's never really going to go away. It's always going to be there, but it doesn't have to haunt me, and it doesn't have to be at the front of my life, It can be like a cute little accessory, not my whole outfit, if you know what I mean. So I start going, and I start getting stronger. I'm starting to do things in the gym that I never expected that I would be able to do. And one day, which I'll never forget, I'm running on the treadmill, which was like a miracle because if you know me, I'm severely asthmatic, which is why I don't exercise. Or I didn't used to exercise, okay? But I had become a runner because I had pushed myself so hard in this class, and thanks to that amazing team, that I was jogging. She was jogging for like 25 minutes on the treadmill. Okay, it was gnarly. But I'm running on the treadmill, and I used to imagine my mom on one side and my grandma on the other side. It was the grandma that raised me with my mom, her mom. And I just used to imagine them cheering me on. I know it's kind of silly, but I was like, I got to get through this or somehow. So I'm running, and I hear like the audible voice of the Lord tell me, you are a warrior. And there's 3 things that you need to have to be a warrior for me. The first is endurance in your body. The second thing is discipline in your mind and perseverance in your spirit. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Now, I had stopped reading my Bible. I couldn't even pray for like 6 months after my mom died. And this was around the 6 to 8 month mark. And I'd heard it so clearly from the Lord, like, you are a warrior. You need to be like perseverant, have discipline and endurance. And I took that and I held it so close to my heart. And at the end of that season, I got this tattoo. For listeners, it's on my forearm, but it says warrior. And I feel like that was the first thing that the Lord really branded me, was to be a prayer warrior and to be a warrior for people. I don't know, for our people, women, Kanaka. I don't know. I'm still discovering what that means, but I've claimed it. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. We're fighting, okay? And that really gave me the will to keep going. I was like, okay, if I'm a warrior, that means there's something to fight for. And I just pushed through that season. And then that is when Pageant Land came into view. So I'm just doing my thing. I'm getting into shape. And I got approached by someone a long time ago who was like a friend of my mom's. And he was telling me, oh, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to model? Do you want to do this? And my mom had always talked about me running in a pageant because she was a makeup artist. So like I grew up with women like Juliette Leiter-Cam, who was Miss Hawaii USA, and she did all these beautiful girls' makeup, and they went on to be Miss Hawaii. And my mom, amazing woman as she is, always thought, my daughter could do this. She could do that. So I always grew up mom saying, you could be Miss Hawaii. Go run for Miss Hawaii. Go do it. And the aunties would be like, you're so pretty. Go run for Miss Hawaii. And I just never thought that I would actually do it. But after my mom died, I remember telling this guy, maybe I'll run for Miss Hawaii one day. And he goes, shut up. I'm on the board of Miss Chinatown. You should run there as a preliminary. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to do this prelim. Long story short, I thought, you know what? I am in the best shape of my life. And I need to focus on anything but my sadness. So I am going to run in this pageant, which still blew my mind. Trained, was awesome. I started discovering new versions of myself, and I thought, hey, this pageant stuff is not that bad. Like, you are forced to come up with the version of yourself that you want to be on the stage. Maybe you're prepping. 3 months later, you have to decide, I want to be this version of her on stage. And then you have to come up with a plan to actualize your goals. So I'm working hard in the kitchen. I'm working hard in the gym. I'm thinking about, how do I want to make an impact on my community? Because a lot of us don't sit down and think, how do I want to impact people? So then I start discovering that, wow, I have a huge heart for women. And I know that there's something about education there because my mom was really passionate about that. And I'm so blessed to have been able to go to Punahou for 13 years and go on to higher education in DC. Like, there's something there, but I didn't know exactly what it was. Long story short, I run for Miss Chinatown, which some of you guys say that I'm not even Chinese. I am 0.8% Chinese, thank you very much. And I speak Chinese a little bit. I'm rusty, but I used to live in China in high school. So I become Miss Chinatown, which is Chi-Hu, Miss Chinatown. Okay, the least Chinese one on the stage, and I was actually ran with a Filipino girl. I'm pretty sure she was a Chinese. Love her so much. But yeah, I became Miss Chinatown, and now it was go time. It was like ready for Miss Hawaii. And I am gonna like fast forward because I'm kind of going crazy with this story. I'm gonna fast forward all the way to Miss Hawaii. Okay, wait, no, I'm not. Miss Chinatown, I was on Chief of War, that show that I was talking about, back to film, okay? And as I'm Miss Hawaii, I'm realizing, wow, I can have a real impact with my voice. I always thought, like with film, like I knew this was a passion of mine, to really, I don't know, give light and elevate representation in Hawaii. Because you don't always see like faces like ours. I feel like you had a lot of like amazing all Black films that had come about, and they were having their moment, and then all of the Asian films were having their moment, and Crazy Rich Asians and Parasite, but what about the local people? I feel like our time was coming, and on Chief of War, I really realized that in that circle, we had a lot of people thought in industry that we just need our chance. We just need people to give us money to make these projects, right? Because you have a lot of indie stuff, smaller stuff. And then here we were with Apple TV, had all this money, yet we didn't really have the talent or people who were exposed to big projects like this that could carry it. And maybe they could, but like it just wasn't really the same. So I leave that. They go off to New Zealand, right? We finish that show, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, so there's still room to improve on entertainment infrastructure here in Hawaii. And that show birthed a nonprofit called I Can, run by Robert Suka, Brian Keaulana, and Angie LaPrette, longtime producers and entertainment industry people. And their goal was to elevate the infrastructure and talent of people in Hawaii so that we can start to have a thriving industry here, like a baby Toronto or baby Atlanta. And I think that there's something really special there. But so that starts to branch on its own, right? And I'm not really involved in that yet. And I go on to Miss Hawaii, holding really close to my heart the idea that I want to have some kind of impact on entertainment infrastructure. Thinking I'm just going to produce or put my hands to the plow and just be a part of industry. So then we go on to Miss Hawaii. I found this nonprofit called Kahua Collective. Kahua in Hawaiian means foundation. And so my idea was to really help women develop a foundation in their hearts so that they can grow really high. It was very simple, and it was journal-based self-discovery for young women. And I had done some classes at Punahou, which a lot of people go, why did you want to start the program at Punahou? Because there's a lot of other schools that needed that support. And that was just a safe place for me, and I was still learning and figuring it out. I wanted to get it really right before I took it to the masses. I wanted to make sure. And what I learned was, one, you can't own and operate a nonprofit all by yourself and be Miss Hawaii. So nothing really came of that, but I did learn a lot. And most of all was discovering my own ability to share, right? And this was all before Miss Hawaii. Now I run for Miss Hawaii Day comes, and my talent, which I don't have, I can't sing. I can't sing. I couldn't really dance, and I had no typical talent, no piano, no nothing like that. So I thought, what can I do? Hello, Mary. Talk. Okay. And I was a big journaler at that time. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take all of my journal entries that I had made when I was healing from my mom, and I am going to do spoken word poetry. A long time ago in school, I had watched these two people, Sarah and Phil Kay, and they do spoken word poetry really, really well. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try to do something like this. And it worked. I was so impressed by, really amazed at the fact that when you are vulnerable with your own story, it opens up other people's hearts to share their own. And that was the first time I started to feel like this magic of sharing. I knew that I had always liked to connect with people, but when it was on such a big scale, like Miss Hawaii, I was getting messages from people sharing about the people they had lost to cancer. I was realized that just by sharing, I had created a safe place for people to be who they were and to be honest with where they were in their healing journey. And to me, that was everything, because if you hadn't figured it out by now, I never really wanted to be Miss Hawaii. And even when I was running, I didn't want to be Miss Hawaii for myself. I wanted to do it for my mom. I wanted to make her proud. And I thought, well, I want to impact my community in a positive way. At the time, I thought it was to advocate for representation in film industry. And then I would realize that, it's actually to create safe place and encourage people's vulnerability by being vulnerable myself with my own story. So I go my whole Miss Hawaii year basically talking about healing from my mom dying. And that was hard because, I never really got to put it down. And then I had almost become numb to it because I thought, this is how I help other people. And it's true. You share your own story, that's how you help. But I would have to develop a line, draw a line in the sand of where I would start healing from it. I don't know. It's still kind of interesting because for the first time in 3 years, this last Christmas was the first time I'd slowed down enough to heal a different piece of that grief. And people, unfortunately, who are in that club of grieving someone or losing a parent at a young age, it goes like this, right? Up and down. It's a wave of emotions and it ebbs and flows. So you never really are completely healed. But at the time, I thought I had healed the most I was going to heal. I'd gotten to a really good place about it. So I spent my whole year talking about it. And I, halfway through, start working with ICANN, and just doing admin work. At this point, Alex and Lucy Tarrant are running these acting intensives, which is like our first like intensive that ICANN was doing. And I just kind of was helping doing administration work because my first love really is entertainment industry. A lot of people think I want to be this like podcaster influencer, but that dream wouldn't really come until later. I still don't know if I'm really an influencer. I don't feel like anyone should be influenced by me because I'm crazy. Well, crazy cool, actually. No, okay, anyway, sorry. I'm distracting myself. Okay, I start doing this and I'm like, you know what? I feel like even though I always wanted to produce and write because I love to write, I'm starting to think that what God has for me is a little different. That maybe I can have an influential impact on film industry by being a mouthpiece and advocating for change. And I'm not 100% know what that looks like, but God started opening doors for me to be on platform, like with Miss Hawaii. And even now with my own podcast, like film is what I love. And I really believe that we're all made to create. And I've said this before, but I will say it again, that God is the ultimate creator and we're made in his image. So does that not mean that we're meant to create things as well? And I think when we are in our pocket of creation and thriving in that, it's when our hearts come alive. Like when people are creating things that have been put on their heart, it just makes your heart sing and you can just tell. So I really believe that we're all meant to create, and I want to have a lasting impact on creating spaces where people feel like they can create and tell their own stories. I start doing that and I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to put down this producing idea and writing idea and just roll with what God has for me. But when I realized that, I thought, you know what? I feel like maybe I should have a podcast. Okay. And this is a little bit more than a year ago at this rate. Maybe right before Miss America and right after, maybe more like after Miss America. So like February, March of 2024. I start thinking, I want to have a podcast. Okay. And I made this logo and I had this name. Can't really see it. If you're watching, you can see I'm holding this card up. I had the logo and I had the name and I just was like, okay, Lord, this is random. And the reason I love this logo too is because I love the ulu. Ulu is like, I love this print and the quilts, but I love it because it feels very rooted in Hawaii, and ulu is like a life-giving tree, but it's modern and fun. And that's exactly what I feel like I am. I'm modern and fun, but still a Kanak. Okay. So let me collect my thoughts. Okay. I come up with the idea for the podcast and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to start a podcast. I look into it. My dad's like, you can do it at our house. And then he's like, wait, but are you going to have guests? Like, don't bring random strangers to our house. And I was like, okay, you're right. I look into buying all the things and it just didn't feel right. Okay. And I just kind of let it go. And I thought, if the time's right, like maybe that'll happen. And I'm still praying about it, but I kind of let it go. And then I give up my crown for Miss Hawaii and go on like this magical journey of rest, self-realization. It was like such a whirlwind of time. But the day after I go on, I give my crown away and Haley Cheney Kane is crowned, which we love her. God bless her. I come onto this podcast called Keep It Aloha right in this very room. And that was like the first time really been on like a podcast that was like not sitting on the ground, which I love Kampai Sugai. But I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And when I met Kamaka, I was like, oh, okay. He was really encouraging me that I could have my own podcast. And I was like, oh my God, you're a podcaster and you're saying that. Shut up. That means maybe I could too. And that's when I met all his podcast people. And whatever, we go out, we have our podcast. Everybody realizes that I don't know anything about geography, and half of the people are really happy and half of the other people think that I'm super dumb, which like both are valid. Okay, I'm getting distracted. All that to say, it was Kamaka's producers that wanted to make a podcast with me later, namely Jordan, who's behind this wall. And then we made a podcast, and it was crazy, and you guys actually like it. Some of you guys like it. But that's where I really found that I think, to tie it back, okay? Also, I'm super podgy. Like, this is very all over the place. That's when I realized that my thing, right, that I'd always searched for when I was in school, perhaps I had finally found the intersection of both my passion and my talent. My passion, namely being people, which is the core of why I love representation in film, because it's about people, and my talent to communicate. And all of a sudden, I found the intersection of that, I think, in podcast land, which is so fun because I totally have faith that if this is where I'm supposed to be, the Lord is going to elevate and use it to touch people, to use me and my talents and my passions to do the thing, right? So I don't know. Maybe we become very successful and maybe we don't. But I know that what I'm doing here is all a part of the purpose that God has for me. And I'm still figuring out how to have the best impact with it. But it's trial and error, you know? So I say all of this long story. Let me summarize it because I know there was a lot of hills and valleys of that conversation. The heart of this podcast is to create vulnerable and safe places to have authentic conversation. And not because people aren't having that, but because I found in my run and reign as Miss Hawaii that when you are authentic and vulnerable with your own story, it opens up other people. And in that, you can have conversations that you probably wouldn't have had that can heal and bridge relationship. It can break boundaries and lead to really productive conversation, which I think the conversation is where we start with change. So that's the goal. And that was a big, long story of how I got here. And I just feel really humbled and honored that I get to have a space. Right now, there's like a couple people that listen to this podcast, maybe more than a couple. I'm actually honored. Everywhere I go, I actually meet people who say something that they like the podcast or they watch it. So I also want to thank you guys for listening or watching. Even if you just watch the clips, like, I am so grateful for your support, because behind all of the fun and conversation is a real purpose and mission to cause change and to cause discourse and debate and stimulate conversation, because that is the beginning of change in my eyes. And I really think even to have like productive conversation, like game-changing conversation where there's critique or feedback or debate, you have to have relationship. And in order to have relationship, there has to be vulnerability. And so that's my goal, is to be vulnerable with who I am, to build relationship with all of you so that we can have honest conversation of how best to change our community and make it even better than it is now. So all that to say, let me look at my notes because I'm distracted. Let's see. Yeah, my mission: heal, empower, and connect. That's the biggest thing. And I'm so glad you guys like it. Okay. Also, I want to give a shout out to today's episode is really brought to you by Pono Potions. Not because they sponsor me, but because I went there before that and I'm caffeinated because of them. So thank you so much to them and Ulu and Kalo Bakery, because that's like the only place that you can get basically gluten-free baked goods in Hawaii that's really, really good. She uses Ulu flour. And I am gluten-free most days. I've been eating gluten for like a week. And so far, so good. But like, I know it's the other shoe is going to drop eventually. Okay, I need more water. Hold on. I've been like going back and forth on like maybe writing a jingle. I just thought of it before this, but let me pitch some of my ideas to you. Ready? Boop, boop, boop. It's between you and me and I'm Star. Okay, that was number one. Second one, how about more like la la la, it's Star between you and me. I don't really like that one, but I kind of like da da da, it's Star. Sorry, that's funny. Okay, man. If you wonder why I laugh at myself so much, I'm an only child. Okay, I had to entertain myself. And I have the best of both worlds because I have two half-sisters that we didn't like really grow up together, but now we get to hang out. And look, actually, this beautiful pearl necklace is from Pearl Girl Hawaii, my sister's company. She's an amazing jewelry maker, and I love her so much. Also, my sisters are like so badass, okay? We got my sister who's a professional dancer and makes beautiful jewelry and is like just incredible, okay? And then my other sister, her name is Hina. She owns Surf Shack Puzzles. Shout out to them. If you have seen like a cutesy puzzle around, that's her company and she's killing it. And she's a lawyer and one day was like, I'm going to make puzzles, and now makes $1 billion doing puzzles, okay? And then my other sister, you guys think like sometimes people come up to me and they're like, you're so impressive, like Miss Hawaii. Literally, I'm nothing compared to them. Okay, they're so impressive. My other sister is like a professional event planner and like a big time something in for some med tech company. I don't even know. And if she can dream it, or if you can dream it, she can make it happen. It's just incredible. Like I'm not as impressive as them, you know? So just know that they're very cool. But I did grow up as an only child, so I'm kind of crazy and I know how to entertain myself. Okay, last pitch for the jingle. Let me really dig into the depths of my soul and into my uterus to pull this out. Okay. Bum, 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 it's Star. I like that. Maybe one with Between You and Me. Or BYME. Bum, bum, ba-dum, BYME. I don't know. Okay, also, when I was trying to think of like the handle, right? Because Between You and Me is too long and somebody actually has that handle. And this girl has 2 posts on there and she's like, it's from like 2014. I tried to get access. I messaged her. I don't even think has a phone anymore. She's not on Instagram and, you know, obviously couldn't give me the handle. So I'm talking to this girl named Callista. Callista, I love you so much. She helps me with a lot of social media stuff. She's like, what about BYME? It was either Callista or Kyra. I don't remember which one of us had that conversation, had that idea. But now people like reference it as BYME, which I think is cool because I was like, it's going to be confusing branding. And they were like, just do whatever. So you really can't, if you have an idea, you know, you want to make stuff happen, literally you can do whatever, you know, throw paint at the wall. One of the things will stick. And yeah, it's kind of like with TikToks, like some of my TikToks get so many views and it's like the random ones that you would have never expected. You know, like I try really hard to be funny. And then the one time that I'm like just saying stuff, people like that. So whatever. Okay, we're moving on. When I decided to do my solo episode, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to post on Instagram and ask you guys if you have any questions for me. And you guys do, which I was like, oh my gosh, you guys follow me. That's cool. So I'm going to go through some questions and stuff that you guys had on the internet. This should be like I should have another jingle for like internet questions. How do you say? Okay, let me think about it. Boop, boop, boop. It's questions. That was pretty good too. Okay. Literally, if you write jingles, can you write me one, please? That'd be so sick. Okay, we're going to start at the beginning because there were kind of a lot. I actually had a lot of you want me to talk about relationships, like godly character in men, sex, that kind of thing, because I am very open about loving Jesus. And sometimes that looks different when it comes to like looking for a man. Okay. Should we just start there? Oh my gosh, that's pretty intense. One of them, okay, you know what? Let me pull out my handy dandy phone. Also, this, if you're watching, this is called an Octobuddy. And you stick it on your phone, and you can stick your phone on any hard surface. This is like, it goes Jesus Octobuddy. Just kidding. But I love this thing. Shout out to them. Sponsor me. Okay. The first one was Jesus Podcast and Playlist Rex. Ironically, I don't listen to very many podcasts, okay? My favorite podcast is called Man Enough with Justin Baldoni. He's just in that movie with Blake Lively, and now he's suing her, which that's tea. Like, I'm trying to look at him, and I really feel like he can do no wrong. And I love him and his podcast, and it's basically about unpacking masculinity and how that impacts our society, which is like very interesting that I like that, but super interesting, and I love it. And I have a lot of Jesus playlists that I will post like below. I don't know. I'll post on the internet when this comes out so that you can listen to what I like to listen to, because I love R&B. And when I started doing more like biblical searching, I realized that we are so easily influenced by so much. And one of those silent influencers is music. You know, it really can affect the way that you think. So I wanted to listen to R&B music, but still listen to Jesus music. So I've curated quite a little playlist, I like to say, of really fun music. So I will put that out there for you guys if you want. Comment if you want me to post it, even though I will post it anyway. Okay, I'm dying. Yes. Okay. Relationships and marriage. I'm not married, if that's not obvious. And I'm also a terrible picker of men, which is probably obvious. Godly character in men, I think that it's more important to talk about godly character in women, very Proverbs 31, and which was one of the questions. Somebody wanted me to talk about Proverbs 31, so I brought my Bible. Notice that it has tabs because I'm holier than you. Basically means I'm a better Christian if I have tabs on your Bible. So I'm just kidding. Dirtier Bible, cleaner life. Come on. Okay, so I'm just going to go through, for all of you who are not really Bible people, I'm not going to read this whole thing, okay? But look, you see how there's notes? It means I'm trying to be Proverbs 31. But there's some good things that I feel like I just want to touch on, okay? Which also, as a, precursor, I'm not a pastor. I don't claim to even be a Proverbs 31 woman. I am just trying to pursue the Lord and be the best version of myself and pursue the purposes that he has for me. And there's a guidebook, okay? This is not just a random book. I believe that this is the living word of God and that it'll make me closer to God. And I want to be that. So I read this and I take it like it's, the ways of my life. Google Maps for life, okay? Okay. The first line is my favorite. It says, this is verse 10, Proverbs 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. What I think is super important about this is rubies are very luxurious, precious, and not everybody has access to them. Really gorgeous, amazing, big rubies, they're locked away. They're on the high shelf. They're in the private case with the lighting. And I think what's applicable to that is not everybody should have access to you if you are ruby status, okay? Which means protecting your heart, protecting your body. Hello. That means legs closed. But it's okay that not everybody has access to you, but I know it can be lonely. But that also means because people have to prove themselves in the store, prove that they have the worth to buy the ruby. I think it's the same thing with men pursuing women. Can they afford the ruby? Afford not with money, but with character. And we're going on. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. Okay, her husband can trust her because people can trust her, okay? The integrity of your word is really important, and I think that I'm constantly learning and trying to be better because I have a big mouth. I'm a porigi. I say a lot of things, and the integrity of your word is just really important. Okay, we're going down to verse 16. She goes to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. Two things, okay? There's a big misconception that biblical teaching of who women are supposed to be, or especially to be a wife, because this whole thing is a wife of noble character. Some people think that means that you just have to submit and do nothing and that it diminishes you as a woman and your identity. When in actuality, the Bible says that she inspects the field, so it speaks to her discernment to be able to choose something good, and buys it. Which she's making money moves, girls. We need to be making money moves. She's smart. And then, with her earnings from it, she plans a vineyard. Okay, so she's multiplying. She's taking what she buys and being discerning with it, and then she's multiplying what she buys and is being smart with it. So money moves, okay? And then the verse after that, 17. She's energetic and strong, a hard worker. I think that speaks to the body and the things that you put inside of it. Because to be energetic, I'm learning a lot homeopathically, has a lot to do with what you eat and your exercise. So it's taking care of your body, not just to be super hot and fit, but so that you can withstand the work that God's placed before you. Just food for thought. These are just things that I think. Everybody's favorite down here. She's clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instruction with kindness. I'm a little bit aggressive when I talk, so I'm learning to give instruction with kindness. But I think women with integrity and really like Proverbs 31 women, people listen to when they speak. And I'm learning that when people listen, it's important that you treat them with kindness and that you don't react or have really strong language sometimes unless it's necessary. Because I'm a reactor. I say a lot of things and I'm a verbal processor. So not everything I say right off the bat is what I mean. But I'm learning that to grow in my integrity, it means to be intentional with my words. So that's my thoughts on Proverbs 31. There's a lot more there, but I am going to cut it there because that's just like the highlights of what I think is important and kind of where I'm going in this season of my life with that verse. And I've been honored to be called a Proverbs 31 woman by a couple people. So thank you so much. I'm trying. I don't think I'm there. I don't think we're ever really there. But surround yourselves with people who are those women and they'll rub off on you. Like Tiffany Thurston, my gem mentor cousin. I love her. I really just regurgitate what she tells me to do. So that's all I got. Okay, let me get my note. Oh, now we get to talk about men. Oh my gosh, you guys. Boys. Okay. When I was in school, I was like so boy crazy. I used to like go to sleep thinking about like which boy I could kiss. And none of them liked me. Like I wasn't kissing boys in school because they didn't want to kiss me back. Now they do though. Hey. No, just kidding. Okay. Okay. I actually have notes on this. Hold on. There's this app called Bible Chat, which is AI for the Bible. You guys should have that. It's super sick. But there's really 3 things like off the dome that I think are important when you're looking for a man. And really it's like somebody who's one, really accountable to the Lord. I think men will say a lot of things, or what should I say boys? Boys will say a lot of things to you and they might not mean it, right? Or like you can never really trust somebody in their humanity. But if you know somebody that's like accountable to the Lord, you know that God's going to convict them. So like I imagine being married and setting somebody back. Like, okay, imagine that I'm married and I'm fighting with somebody and all I have to say is, okay, you talk to God. And if God said fine, then you go do it then. You know, so I'm not the bad guy. If the Lord says okay, he says okay. But if I know that my husband is going to be convicted by the Lord and what he says, and I know that he's about to go on some random thing, God is going to convict him. That's probably not really good Jesus wisdom, but it's where I'm at. Okay, here's my 3 things for men, okay? 1, accountable to the Lord. 2, has wisdom, discernment, and discipline. There's like a part in the Bible, I think it's in Titus. I think Tiffany told me this. In Titus, it says all these things that women, like it's good for women to have, and then it says like, but men need to be disciplined. That's like number 1. If they show discipline in their life and have good fruit, that's probably like a really good sign that they're doing well, okay? Also, like where they're plugged into church is important, okay? Because somebody can have faith, but you're not really sure about, 1, their routine, how they're intertwined, right? How they've chosen to build community. Because you can tell a lot about a man by the people that he has in his life. But also the good teaching. Like, I've had a bunch of people want to pursue me and say they love Jesus, and maybe they do. But you never know what kind of like who is Jesus to you, you know? And a good sign is to know where they go to church. And you can also learn more about them or like their relationship with God and what they really believe by having these conversations, right? Intentional friendship is really good. I'm really bad at that. I meet a boy and I go on a date and I think that's my husband. And that's been my story, but she's learning, praying about it, journaling about it, submitting it to the Lord. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Okay. Your boy Spence asked, can you talk about dating in Hawaii? Haha emoji, laughing emoji. And that's exactly how I feel about dating in Hawaii. It's a haha and it's a crying laughing emoji because what the heck is going on, okay? Nothing wrong with the local bradas, okay? So a lot of tacomas, a lot of gold chains. But there are good men in Hawaii, okay? So you guys don't settle. Find the one. Oh, and it was Mr. Aloha. It was Chasten who asked about Proverbs 31. Thank you so much, Chasten. Okay, this one I really like. Jules MC Fools, which is a clever name, asks, can you talk about how your testimony can impact those around you? I think that that is like a testament to my entire story. Is me sharing about my own journey is really a testimony of how the Lord has moved in my life, right? Healing from my mom passing, and just kind of sharing with what I've tried to do with it impacts other people's lives. Like if you talk about how God has taken you from one place to another, and you don't even really have to say the Lord, right? Like if you just talk about your story, people are encouraged by that. And I think that you are oftentimes the only Jesus somebody will meet. Not to say we are Jesus, but like some people never go to church or will never go to church or read the Bible for whatever reason. Like you can be a little light in their path. And sharing about how God's woken you up or more healed you, not even waking you up, but has healed you, I think it goes a long way. And one day I was sitting at a stoplight and I had just kind of started going to Orange Theory and I was really starting to heal. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head and I realized, oh my gosh, we're not supposed to talk about Jesus so that it's like down people's throats. Like it's not about conversion or like the number of people that come to know God, but it's because the Lord has such amazing healing for each and every one of us that's too good not to share. Like for a really long time, I thought I was never going to have real joy again after my mom died, and it was so traumatic. And I just thought, okay, I'd had 23 years of life that was so amazing, and that was all I was going to have. But God is capable of all of that healing, and he's just so good. Okay, moving on. Okay, pageantry. Okay, Royce asks, pageantry, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Pageants are scary, okay? And people in pageants are scary. But it was both the most amazing thing that I had ever done and the scariest thing that I had ever done. Because, at the end of the day, it's very performative. Very few people are truly all the way authentic. And I'm not saying that I'm the only one that's super authentic. I mean, a lot of amazing women who are searching and displaying the best versions of themselves in order to encourage others. And I've made some amazing friends, especially at Miss America. Those women are incredible. But there's a lot of local pageant girls that use this as a way to, share the talents that they have, share the wisdom that they have, and just become better versions of themselves. And so if you're thinking about pageants, don't be scared. Make a team. You need help. You can't do it on your own. I tried to, and it was really hard. But even then, I wasn't totally alone. I had a version of my own team, But I don't know. I don't want to scare you about pageants. It can be really petty, and there's a lot of people who are not competing that are in pageant land that maybe are just in it for themselves. That's where, and this is not just pageantry, okay? I think anything that can be scary, even entertainment, everybody has an agenda. And so it's on you to have your own discernment, and like you're responsible for curating the people around you and the things that you let into your life. Not to say people won't sneak past, but if we work on our own discernment, you're probably going to be shielded from a lot of people that are spewing BS at you, So it happens everywhere. Not everybody has your best interests at heart, and I was really naive and thought that was true, or that I didn't think. I thought, no, everybody was just trying to help me. Not everybody's trying to help you. And that's the truth. Anywhere you go. Real Blake Boyd wants to know about my purpose and long-term vision, which I think I kind of talked about. Long-term vision is to have an lasting impact on the infrastructure of the entertainment industry in Hawaii, and hopefully through ICANN and this podcast to create space for creatives in Hawaii to elevate the talent that we have here, and ultimately create platform for local creatives. Boom. Mic drop. Okay, this one. Lucinda Jane Tarrant, Lucy, I love you, wants me to talk about body, grief, and women always having to humble themselves or make sure that you're not too big or too loud. It's something I was always really insecure about because obviously I'm a chatter, okay? I've been talking for 53 minutes and 25 seconds all by myself. I don't know a lot of people that do that. And I do this without a mic around too. But I do think that the body and grief are really intertwined and in two different ways. One, it's like we have to grieve our body before we even get to live in it. Okay, like everybody objectifies people. Okay, women objectify men, men objectify women, media objectifies everybody, especially women. But we are really taught to look at our body as an object or like currency rather than a life-giving thing. You know, like it's almost like an accessory. I felt like my body was an accessory to who I was. You know, it wasn't the thing that helps me move and helps me like live, you know, or gives me life. It was something that I always felt I had to drag around in a good way, or that I had to put out first. If my body looked great, that's the first thing that leads. If my body looks not as great, it's something that I drag around and have to like have as baggage. You know, it's either a Birkin or it's a like junk suitcase. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it's okay to not have to humble yourself with your body, you know, like, and when I say humble, I don't mean not be humble, because that's important, but I don't think that we should have to apologize for our bodies being what they are. You know, I feel like if you're so gorgeous and stunning, you have to minimize yourself because people make you feel bad about that, or it's all they see. Or if you're like, if you feel not as stunning and gorgeous, you try to hide it with the way that you dress. And that was very much my story. I always tried to hide my body because I was never confident about it. And I just felt like my demeanor was apologetic for what I looked like. And that does something to your mind, you know, like when can we start looking at our bodies and think, this gives me life, you know, this is what causes me to get up in the morning. When my mom had cancer and her body started to slowly abandon her and fail on her, even though her mind was sharp, it made me appreciate my body in a whole new way. Because I thought, you know what? My body might not be where I want it to be physically, but I'm able-bodied. It gets me out of bed. I can walk on my 2 feet. I can use the bathroom. We take so much for granted from our bodies, and I think that we should start looking at it more biologically than as a physical piece of currency. But this idea of our body being currency, I think, is really important because people talk a lot about pretty privilege. Okay, it's real. Like, it makes space for you in places that maybe it doesn't make space for other people. And that's all fine and dandy, right? But I just don't think that it should be even a conversation. Kind of like how we've talked about, why do we have to talk about being Hawaiian enough? Like, if you're Hawaiian, you're Hawaiian. That's what it is. Your version of what it means to be Kanaka is who you are. And it doesn't, because I don't speak Olelo and I wasn't raised in the lo'i and doing all these things, it doesn't devalue my Hawaiianness, you know? Like, is it my responsibility to learn the ways of my people and make a decision on how involved I want to be so that I can carry on tradition? That's on me. But when it comes to our body, I don't think there should be a threshold of valuable enough. And it goes back to Proverbs 31, that one verse, I think 17, about she's strong and, what is it? Hold on, I'm busting it out. She's energetic and strong and a hard worker. For me, that's the definition of a body that I want to have, is one that's energetic and strong. We all know the things that we eat that make us energetic and the exercises we can do that would make us strong. It's as simple as that. I don't want to hear anymore, she gained weight, she lost weight. I recently lost a lot of weight after Miss Hawaii. Call it trauma, call it whatever you want. And I get a lot of comments all the time. You look so great. And I'm like, thank you so much. But also, like, what about my personality? Doesn't it shine through? I don't know. Pageants are very like that. I'm kind of rambling at this point. Lucy also said, you know, body issues, what it means in relation to pageants, longevity. I'll never forget this. I was at Miss America and we were having breakfast and I'm around the table. None of us have makeup on. We'd just woken up. And all these girls are really skinny, really in the great shape, right? And I was like in okay shape. And I'm just like kind of eating my breakfast going, you know, I used to think that and we're just having our own conversations, right? But I said to a couple girls, I used to think that being skinny was the most important thing in pageants. And now I realize that's not the most important thing. And there's a lot of other things that we can prioritize, like how we can impact community and like the valuableness of our initiatives. And the whole table got quiet. And the girls who were having separate conversations, they stopped and they were looking at me and nobody responded. And in that moment, I thought, wait, am I wrong? And I just got this impression that they were like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, it is. And it's just a perspective, I love those women at that table. And it's just when you're in pageant land and on stage, very often people care about you looking pristine and perfect. And in a lot of ways, that's what it is. But whether it carries on and affects you forever and stays in your mind, that's something important. There's a lot of women that have to heal after pageants. Kaimana Regina says, yes, let's talk relationships and marriage. Okay, I kind of talked about it before with men and women and I got distracted, but I want to say this. I am abstinent by choice. Because I just feel like I want to honor the Lord with my body. Have I been intimate with people in the past? Yes. Do I wish that I wasn't? Yes. Not to have regrets, but I also think that this is a personal conviction. Just like drinking or doing drugs or whatever, like once you start pursuing the Lord, God will meet you exactly where you're at. You do not have to change to meet him, talk to him, and pursue a relationship with him. But as you go down the line of relationship, you will be convicted by God. And that's a personal conviction that I've felt. And I believe that sex is meant for the container of marriage, to make it great and fun and awesome and bind one another. But I think that sex is an emotional and spiritual thing too. It's not just physical. And that's for me to believe. If you are doing that, I have no judgment for you at all. Live your life, queen. Like, I have nothing to say about that. Because not everybody prescribes to the Bible. Like, not everybody is like, yes, I believe the Bible and this is what I want to pursue. So no judgment. That's just where I'm at. And I think that, like I said, sex is for the container of marriage. And that's just the way I want to live my life. And that's where I'm at. Adam Jung Photography, this is a really fun one, wants me to talk about aliens. And this is a fun fact that you guys might not know. Most of my family are large conspiracists, okay? We're talking moon landing. We're talking about the government has hid the cure for cancer, mermaids, aliens, all of the things. But alien specific, okay? There is a statistic, okay, that says that what we've discovered about space is the equivalent of putting an 8-ounce glass of water in the ocean and holding it up, okay? Which obviously whales don't fit in an 8-ounce glass of water, and not everything can be seen in that small little data point, okay? So how can we possibly know if there's not aliens or not? There's totally aliens. Jesus loving aliens. I'm sure of it. Okay. Okay. The last one that I want to go over, Yojo808 asks, navigating the intersection of faith and cultural relevance. This is everything, okay? This is like the biggest contradictory thing ever, because following the Lord and like being a Christian and following the Bible is kind of exact opposite of following culture, okay? It's like the one fish going this way and all the other fish are going that way. Here's what I will say about this. Yojo808, talking about navigating intersection of faith and cultural relevance. One, I'll just say following the Bible means not caring about culture and not doing what everybody else is doing. Read the Bible, talk to Jesus, and you'll be able to discern what is of the Lord and what is not. You know? It's like if I'm talking to you about my friend, right? Say her name is Mary. I know Mary and you don't know Mary, right? You're telling me all this stuff about Mary, but I know Mary and her character and the things that she does. So if you're saying stuff, I'm going to be like, no, that's not what Mary does because I actually know her. Same when it comes to the Bible and Jesus. You know your Bible, you have your relationship with Jesus. When people start saying things or saying this is what we're doing now, you're going to know if that's what the Lord's calling you to do or not. Sometimes it's as simple as that. I'm not going to get into it. But that term about being culturally relevant, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of rubbish. Like, none of this that I do or say is so that people like me. Do I want people to like me? Yes. I'm a recovering people pleaser. But am I not going to say something because I'm afraid of what somebody's going to think about me or what I say? No. If I really believe that, I'm going to say it. And I think it takes humility to hear feedback and then, digest it. And I think we can change the way that we think about things. What I say now is maybe not what I'll think forever. But right now, I've taken a vow to be authentic and honest, the things that I think, so long as they don't offend anybody. Well, actually, I take that back. Some things I say does offend people. But if you believe it and it's not like hate speech, I think it's okay. Okay, that's all of the questions that I had on Instagram. There were more, like fantasy football that somebody wanted me to talk about. And I'll have you know, I don't even watch football, okay? I don't watch it and I don't like it. But I do watch golf, okay? And my TikTok is full of compilations of Tiger Woods being a baller, okay? I just saw a video today about Tiger Woods. It was a compilation and it was to Mo Bamba. And yeah, Tiger Woods does have hoes. Not in a bad way, but like, the song, like, I got ho ballin'. It was super sick. Tiger Woods is that guy, okay? We're moving on. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, you guys, it's been 1 hour that we've been together, and I just want to say, if you're still sticking around, thank you so much. I love you so much. I feel like we're just on a really long conversation phone call, and I love you, and I wish I could ask you about your day, but just know that in my heart, I want to know how your day was, and I'm thinking about you. So at this point, if you know me, text me how your day is going. If you know me from Instagram, message me how your day is going, and I hope it's going really well. I want to know the most embarrassing story from when you were in middle school. Text that to me right now. Okay. The next session of today's single podcast, which, listen to this little jingle I wrote. Ba, 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 da. Next section. What do we think? Should we rate all of my jingles? I'm kind of into that. I want to share like kind of what I'm doing too. You guys know that I am a receptionist at a med spa and that I host a podcast, but I want to share some of my goals, some things I'm working on. And I saw this thing on the internet that you write your goals on bottles of wine or champagne, and when you achieve the goal, you pop it open and you celebrate and enjoy. So these are some of the things that I've set goals for and that I have written on some bottles of wine that I'm excited to drink, okay? I want to run 5 miles in a row. That might seem crazy or that might seem very simple. Some of you are running 16 miles a day. And to that, I celebrate you and I hope that you are well. But for my asthmatic, frail, small body, that's very difficult. So on one of the bottles of wine is 5 miles. The first one I do straight without stopping, outside. Okay, not just on the treadmill. I want to be an outside runner. But it scares me to run outside because what if I get stuck and I'm asthmatic and I have to collapse onto the ground? Who will find me then? Because some people will think I'm being dramatic and all these other runners will run right past me. And where I run, there's a run club that runs over there that are all my friends from church. So I'm going to be running at Kapulani Park. They're going to see me passed out. Best case, they give me water. Worst case, somebody calls an ambulance. Will I need that ambulance? Maybe. It's just very hard to say. But it might take all year to get it, but that's on a wine bottle. Another resolution that is not on a wine bottle, but I want to Sabbath more. I am like kind of a chronic when it comes to booking my schedule. And I think I'm like just hiding from my feelings or like my grief with my mom. But I want to choose a day where like I do not work or think about podcasts and I just rest. That's biblical. This one is on a wine bottle. Okay, wait, I'm so excited about this. And almost everybody I told about this was like not impressed and did not think it was cool at all. But I've come up with a concept called Jesus 75. And my goal that's on the wine bottle is to do 75 days of consistent devotions. Now, you might wake up every day and do your devotions, and you've been doing that for years. I am not ashamed to say that that is not what I've done, okay? I get distracted. I get bored. I fill my time with things like cleaning the house before I spend time with Jesus sometimes, because I'm human, okay? I'm just a girl and I'm just living. But I came up with this concept, Jesus 75, which is like hard 75, which I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but it's basically this concept that for 75 days, you just are balls to the wall, killing it, okay? You're reading, you're exercising, you're dieting, all kinds of stuff, which I've done before, actually, and I smashed it, okay? Crushed it, smashed it. I'm very proud of myself. But I created a program called Jesus 75 where I asked Bible Chat to give me 75 chapters of the Bible that, are good for Devos. And it gave me all these chapters. I put it in this cute little thing. If you want me to send it to you, message me, comment down below. Maybe I'll make a link. But I made it on Canva and I started it and then I didn't finish it. So I will continue to try to finish it the rest of the year. And the whole like caveat of it is if you miss a day, you have to start from the beginning. So you can truly have 75 days through. So once I complete my Jesus 75, bottle is going to be popped. Cork out. If you want to do it with me, let me know. I'll send it to you. Okay, this one is really exciting. My next wine bottle, which I don't have much control over, but, I've said it, is to have 10,000 followers on my podcast Instagram. I feel like 10,000 means that you are killing it. I know it's like not very much, but also it is very much. Like I don't even have 10,000 followers on my Instagram account, like my personal one. Because I really am nobody. Like, nobody knows who I am. But I want people to appreciate and know my podcast. So 10K is on there. Whether I open that bottle this year, next year, 10 years from now, I'm believing in faith that 10,000 will happen. Amen. Okay, another podcast one on the wine bottle. To have my first sponsor. I don't make any money from this. And I have no sponsors yet. But one day, maybe somebody will want to give me money to keep talking. And that would truly be the dream. And like that would be a win for Portuguese everywhere. I just want like you guys to know. Like one of you is a Portuguese girl who's thinking, all my friends tell me I talk too much. I'm always the life of the party. How can I make money from this? And I'm here to tell you that potentially there's a way for you. People make money from podcasts all the time. If I will or not, jury's still out. Okay, this one is actually super exciting. I want to launch my first merch set for Between You and Me podcast. I feel like I have a lot of good ideas for merch. I'm a merch girl. I love things that have that have a logo on it. I'm all about it. Okay, so stay tuned. If you see a hat with this logo, it could just be a hat, but I want to have something cooler. Maybe a mug. I don't know. Hats are cool too. But everybody has a hat. I want to be maybe, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I'm not going to give anything away. Maybe a patch you can put on your stuff. I don't know. Hey gosh, do you have good merch ideas? Let me know. Okay, and the last goal is to launch the Between You and Me website and revamp my website. I had a website when I was Miss Hawaii and it kind of died. I never did anything with it, so I took it down. But I feel like now that I am a host of things, and I actually hosted... Sorry, that was really close. I hosted my first live event ever, New Year's Eve. And it was New Year's Eve. It wasn't like a random Tuesday. It was New Year's Eve Tuesday. And I feel like in the back of my mind, I went boop, boop, boop. That was a big milestone for me. You guys might be out here hosting live events all the time. And I just want you to know that it was special to me. And it's just the little things, So those are my goals. Those are my happenings. I want to be a runner. I want to release merch. And the most important thing, if you didn't pick up from that, is that I want to drink wine. And that's why I put my goals on wine bottles, because wine makes the world go round. Can we just say that Jesus, he was all about the wine, okay? He was actually saying, don't hydrate with this water, drink wine. If that's not biblical wisdom, I do not know what is, girl. Drink the red, and he was making red wine, okay? I don't think he was making white wine. So, red, which I used to drink white wine all the time, and now I just drink red wine. Okay, let me collect my thoughts, because I will volleyball and forget things that I really wanted to talk about. Last thing that I want to talk about, which I don't always get to do on the podcast, is all of my thank yous. All the people that have gotten me to this place and that have been such big supporters. One is my family. They are just an amazing support and have been praying for me, encouraging me, and just like shouting me out and making their friends follow me on Instagram and follow the podcast Instagram. I'm just so grateful for them. All my Thurston Ohana, the Minshew Ohana, Lillian Minshew, I love you so much. I know you watch my clips, but she doesn't watch the podcast, so she may never hear that shout out. But in my heart, I'll know that I've shouted her out. That's my auntie, and she's my friend, and she's just my number one fan and encourager. And she's awesome, and I love her. To all my people that do this, Josh, Jordan, today, Benny, my good friend, I love you so much. Thank you. Pono Potions, again, not a sponsor, unless you want to be, for caffeinating me and the whole team. And there's been so many people that before I was Miss Hawaii, before I had this podcast, that just loved on me. And Peter and Michael and their whole staff, they always were. Before I was doing any of this, they were my number one encourager, and just create amazing space for creatives here. And I just love them so much. All my church friends, my Ohana room, which at our church is like our small group, they've prayed with me, they've cried with me, they've celebrated with me. They were there when I was training for Miss Hawaii. They were there as I recovered from losing my mom. And that's just a plug to get involved in your local church and find people who will sit and pray with you and pray for you. And people like Moses was parting the Red Sea and people had to hold his arms up because he was feeling weak. Get people around you that are going to hold your arms up, because I've found my people and it's so great. I feel loved. I feel supported. And most of all, I feel blessed by the Lord to have people hold my arms up when I feel weak and remind me who God created me to be. Because sometimes you get in your head and you forget that God's destined you for such a time as this, and there's purpose on your heart. And I really believe if there's dreams in your heart and your spirit that's there, God didn't put that there willy-nilly. It's because he wants you to actualize it. And God can't direct a parked car. So go get after it, girl. You're killing it. You're nailing it. You're crushing it. Even when we're not crushing it, just do your hair and you'll feel like you're crushing it, okay? And last thing I want to say is that I think that we should all stop wearing like fake lashes. Like I'm kind of feeling like we need to all go down this route of like lash growth serum. I don't know. Is that just me? I feel like we all could do it and it would be really cool. Even though I love a lash look and I wear lashes a lot. I'm just feeling like maybe 2025 is the year of no lash. I don't know. Is that crazy? I'm crazy, so whatever. And we should all get ulu tattoos. It's my dream to get matching tattoos with somebody, but everybody keeps turning me down. But one day, somebody's not going to turn me down. And they're going to take me to the tattoo parlor, if they're called parlors anymore, and we're going to get matching tattoos. So if you're out there and you want to get matching tattoos with me, send me your social security number. I'll put you through background check, and then let's do it. Let's smash the thing. Anyway, over and out. Here's my outro jingle. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, between you and me, Star. No, that wasn't good. One more time. Oh, you know what? I get to do the between you and me because I always make the guests do it. Okay. I gotta think of a good one. Hi, I'm Star Dahl-Thurston, and between you and me, Portuguese people are the best people on the planet. Portuguese power! Okay, wait, let me sing a jingle. Let me sing one more jingle. Boop, 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 boop. Portuguese. Boop, 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 boop. We're Portuguese. Boop, 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 boop. We're Portuguese. Boop, boop. Wait, that was pretty good. Okay, wait, I like that one. Okay, one more time. Bang, bang. Okay, wait. Bang, bang, bang. We're Portuguese. You know, like, but imagine it wasn't like bang, bang. It was like bass, like bum, bum, bum. Portuguese. Okay, wait, I'm on to something really good. Bum, bum, bum. Wait, I can't look at myself do that. Bum, 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 we're Portuguese. Bum, 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 Portuguese. Oh my gosh, imagine if, I wish you could like harmonize with yourself. Pretty much like all of you except for two are still listening. I mean, all of you except for two have tuned off. So for the two people that have lasted this long, that's true friendship. I know exactly who you are and you're related to me. So thank you so much. Love you guys. I think you're killing it. Thanks for liking me back. Yeah. Bye. love you so much. Jesus loves you.